So a few weeks ago, we had the Nissan Sentra on, and Andrea was saying that, this is designed for a youthful young buyer. And I said, you know what, everybody wants utility vehicles. That's what you claimed, right?
Well, it's not really my claim. It's actually the Canadian president of Nissan that is really hoping that their target market will be younger people for the Sentra, and they've designed it that way to make it look sportier.
And this is what I said in the video.
Yes, but Nissan believes that young people are buying sedans, unlike their parents who are buying SUVs. So they're really thinking that this is going to take off, this sedan.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Do
you didn't know that?
Well, I have a different theory on that.
That's what they believe.
I don't think so. I think people like utility vehicles. Period. I don't care if they're young or old. They like utility vehicles.
I disagree.
They will happily sell a young person a Qashqai or a Kicks or a Rogue. So it seems that everybody wants a utility vehicle, even though you come out with a very good Sentra model. So do you still think that? You think people are going to maybe give this a shot over that?
Well, let's get in, let's give it a drive, and let's get on with the review.
All right, you first. This video is brought to you by Car Cost Canada. Get the dealer's cost, list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH to become an expert member and get extra searches. The link is in the description below. There were a couple of things on the outside I wanted to touch on.
Sure.
Whoa,
can you hear it?
Can you feel the power?
You know what? Once you get going, it's okay. Yeah. It's just initially when you accelerate, the engine works hard.
We're going to get to that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk on the outside. So this is sold basically in 3 basic grades.
That's right.
The base model comes with steel wheels and hubcaps.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get that one. It's the middle one is the thing, the one I think offers the best value.
And still quite affordable.
And still quite affordable. Yeah. You get the alloy wheels. The top one we have here gets LED headlamps, but all of them come with fog lamps. And you touched on some basic safety features. It's quite well equipped, right?
It's really well equipped. You know, one thing they also have for the back seat is the rear detection.
Yeah, not on all trims though.
Not on all trims. And they've got a notification to let you know if you've left anything in the back seat. Precious cargo.
Yeah, well kids, that's really why it came about, because people would leave their kids and forget. So the way it works, if you open the back door, and then you close the back door, and then you start the car and turn the car off and leave and lock it, but don't open the back door again, it lets you know.
Yes.
So, I mean, that is the worst nightmare story of all, is leaving your kid on a hot day in
I think it's a wonderful feature to have available on every trim level.
Yeah. Okay, so styling, what do you think? You think it's, is it a cute ute?
I think it's super cute. If you look at the exterior, it's sporty. I love the two-tone color combination. This one in particular is black and white, but they have many others. I actually saw a gray and orange, which was cool, but you can't get that on every trim level. So the base model doesn't have that. So you're going to get black handles. You're not going to get the color of the paint that you choose.
Now, we talk about people maybe wanting to buy a car versus wanting to buy a small utility vehicle. They used to have a little hatchback, inexpensive vehicle. Actually, this is built on the exact same platform.
Yes.
It was called the Versa Note.
Yes.
And it offered a ton of room on the inside. It was cheap and cheerful. They stopped selling it because people didn't buy it. So this is what they want. Sales of this Kicks have absolutely skyrocketed since it was introduction. For whatever reason, people, if it's a utility, they'll buy it. If it's a hatchback, they won't. If it's a sedan, they're moving away from it. Why is that?
I don't know. I think it has a lot to do with maybe cool appeal. They look very sporty. You sit up a bit higher. And I think that people think with these subcompact SUVs that they have more room, but really they don't.
They don't. Like that Versa Note was so big. It's the same platform. This is built off of that. And another one that they've done a similar thing is the Hyundai Venue. So they took the Hyundai Accent, little hatchback car, same kind of deal, and they turned it into utility vehicle, and they charge more money. So this is marketing genius. Let's give people basically a subcompact car, and we'll charge them more.
I was just going to say that. It gets pricier, but people are willing to pay. This one in particular, if you get the base model, you can get it for under $20,000 with all of these safety features available. I think that's quite incredible.
Okay, let's get into the front wheel drive, this is basically that Versa Note, a front wheel drive car, no all-wheel drive. It doesn't have independent suspension. It's got a small engine and 122 horsepower, so that's basically subcompact car territory. Is all-wheel drive a deal breaker for you? It isn't for me. You know my thoughts on this. I think you put good winter tires on this and driving it mostly in the city, you'll be just fine.
I think that I've lived with you for so long now that I think I'm
23
starting
years.
to
23 years.
23 years. Yeah, can you believe it?
Yeah.
I think that I agree with you now. We agree on that because of the snow tires. But then at the same time, for a woman, I don't know how to change tires. You change the tires on our car, so that means I would be going into the shop.
You could also invest in a set of all-weather tires. If it's that big a concern for you, right? You could invest in a set of all-weather tires that do have winter capability, and you can leave them on all year round. So they do exist.
Yes, and I think the biggest challenge is just who wants to make an appointment in October, put winter tires on, and then take them off in the spring. Just depends on whether you're willing to do that or not.
But if this was all-wheel drive and just had all-season tires on it, you're not going to have the same traction either. You have 4 wheels with minimal traction instead of 2.
I know, and you always say that people still don't go and get snow tires on.
Buy the winter tires.
Yeah.
Like, here's a perfect example. Inexpensive hatchback cars, front-wheel drive. The best part of the country where they sell is the province of Quebec. And Quebec has the deepest, coldest winters and lots of snow. And people buy these inexpensive cars because winter tires are mandatory. And you go to Montreal, Quebec City, rural Quebec, and people are driving little, Toyota Yaris's and Mazda 2s because they can get around.
Yeah.
So let's get off of that. All right. Now, what about the inside of this thing?
Wow, they've done such a great job with the inside. Now, this is the top model, and the other trim levels don't have
They have cloth
this.
seats.
They do. It doesn't feel as luxurious as this, if I'm going to use that term. You do get a combination here of hard plastic and soft materials, which makes it feel a lot better. You've got the stitching on the steering wheel. You have stitching throughout the dash and on the seats.
It's this dash pad, right, that makes it look good with the stitching. By the way, these aren't leather seats. These are faux leather.
But boy, don't they look good.
But they look good and they'll hold up too. But I think that the middle trim, let me get the specs here on the middle trim. So the base model does not come with Android and Apple in the head unit.
No,
okay,
it does not.
So, and it doesn't come with heated seats. So it's a hard pass for me on that.
So let's just say this. You've got, let's say younger people are buying this and they can only afford just under $20,000. Well, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay is not in here. I think that would discourage them.
Yeah, because those are the people that want to have the
tech,
the connection the most. Okay, so that is $19,300. As you mentioned, it's just under 20 grand. So at $22,000, which is $3,000 more, you get Android, you get Apple, you get the heated seats, you get the alloy wheels, and you get the push button start and the push button door lock. So that would be the one I would get.
Yeah.
Now this one, as
if you can make that stretch.
Yeah. Hey, easy. It's easy. Just another $40 in a monthly payment, Andrea. We'll make that work for you. And then this one, you get the faux leather, you get the dash pad, you get the LED headlamps, and you also get these Bose speakers in the headrest.
I know, which is pretty cool.
Do you think that is? I wouldn't pay extra for it.
I wouldn't pay extra for it, but if you are going to get the top trim level and it comes with it, that's kind of nice.
Now, don't think that this is blasting the stereo in your ears. What it does is it just fills in the noise a little bit, so you feel it more around your head. That's what that Bose system does
It's
for
quite
you.
nice.
And also the phone calls when you're using Bluetooth are closer to your ear, which is good for that.
Now, one thing that's not really a big deal for you is the sunroof, but I think in a compact SUV like this, it would be nice to have at least a small one or an option on the higher trim level.
Yeah, well, that's something they could certainly add. Good connectivity though. There's a USB in the front and there's 2 in the back seat. Now I got in the back seat of this. Now one of the things is the Versa Note, that little compact hatchback I mentioned, was this kind of marvel of this little car, but a really big back seat. And this has the same thing. So there's space in the back is good. And you do have 2 more USB chargers in this second row. The hatchback is roomy as well. The back seats fold down, but the floor isn't perfectly flat. That's not a deal breaker either. I think it's a very functional little utility.
Is it ever? I've had a ton of fun driving it. I've gone downtown a ton. Getting in and out of parking spots is easy. It's just a great city vehicle. But once you get on the highway and you're trying to pass people, it's a little bit of a challenge. And like I said, the engine does work a little bit harder, but you have to know that going into it. It's going to take a little bit more time, and you will get where you need to go.
Okay, I'm just going to drive now. Can I drive, please?
Of course you can.
I want to bring up a comparison.
Okay. How does it feel to drive?
Yeah, well, I'm going to say one thing about the seating position is that I understand why they have the seating position go high for a lot of women who want to see out, but it's not good for tall people.
Yeah.
Like, I've got the torso of a giant.
Have you got it all the way down?
Yeah, it's all the way down. Now, I would like it if it went a little bit lower. Oh, you know what we need to do, Andrea?
Well, I can't imagine somebody who's taller than you then. That would be a tough one.
We need to put it in S for subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got to put it in S for subscribe. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, like
gotta subscribe.
90% of the people that watch our videos, they all love them, but they don't subscribe. Only 10% subscribe.
I don't get that.
And the other thing is, Andrea has started a brand new Instagram along with me. So mine is, or ours I should say, is motormouth_auto.
Yeah.
And if you want pictures of Andrea, and the guys will, you go to motormouth_Andrea. So and that's where Andrea will post.
Yeah, so follow us on Instagram, and we definitely have different content.
All right, let's get back into the positives and negatives of this thing.
Yeah.
Here's what I said about the Kicks a year or two ago when I first had a chance to review it. Someone's going to come in to the Nissan dealership and they're going to see the Sentra and they're going to see the Kicks and they're going to say, it's the same amount of money, I want me a little utility vehicle. But that was with the old Sentra, which was really not that great a car.
No.
Now they've come out with the new Sentra, which is excellent. They did a fantastic job with that car. And now I still think that it's a better vehicle, but this is still going to get more people buying it. So here's a couple of things to think about. This car's got 122 horsepower. Sentra has 149 or 48, somewhere in there, just around 150. Okay, this does not have independent rear suspension.
No.
Sentra now comes with independent rear suspension.
Yeah.
Head unit, you get a 7-inch in this, that's it. With everything outside of the base, the head unit is 8 inches.
Yeah.
And it's lower to the ground, it handles better, arguably better looking, but I still think people are going to walk into the Nissan dealer and go, get a car, get a utility, and they're basically the same price.
They're basically the same price, but if you're looking at the drive, if you get in it, would you take this over that? I thought the Sentra
was fantastic.
Oh, what a great drive. And also when you stepped on the gas, you felt like you went and the engine wasn't working as hard. With this, you definitely feel that it's louder. I had the window open and we were talking on the phone. I could barely hear you. It was so loud.
As you mentioned, getting it up and out of the pocket takes a little bit of inertia, but when you're driving on a road like this, like a highway, and you want to pass a truck, you got to make some plans, right?
You got to make some plans.
And you got to have the commitment and stick with it. It's not the most powerful. So when you get that Sentra, you get basically 30 more horsepower. That makes a big difference.
Makes a huge difference. And the handling, you're lower to the ground, all that stuff that you just mentioned. It was quite funny when we did the car-to-car where we're shooting the exterior, and you're like, okay, remember what I'm driving and remember what you're driving. Don't excel too hard. And then what ended up happening is I actually hardly stepped on it, and then you zip by me in this, and you're like, "Come on, hon, keep up, keep up."
By the way, the photography video was a Cayenne, a Porsche Cayenne.
Yeah.
So you had a question for me about the transmission.
Yeah, we've been talking about that. Why are there so many negative comments on CVT?
Okay, CVT is continuously variable transmission, and a lot of car manufacturers, almost all of them, have gone to this because they need to improve fuel economy
Right.
for fuel economy standards. So it also benefits owners; they're not spending as much on gas.
Sure.
But that's really what this whole process has been about, and it delivers on that. They do improve fuel economy, but it does change the characteristics. And a lot of what you were noticing about the unwillingness to pass and those sorts of things is the CVT at play. So there's no gears, it's a pulley system, and
Yes.
it changes the ratios continuously. So continuously variable ratios, continuously variable transmission. Now on top of that, like when we did the Sentra, all of the comments were, I hate the CVT, blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot of people who really dislike the Nissan CVT. It has been problematic, but I can tell you, driving the Sentra and this one, it does drive better than those earlier efforts. So just give it a try and see if you can live with that sort of effect. Certainly the more powerful engine in the Sentra is going to perform better than this one.
Yeah.
But they are improving. That's the two-headed monster that car companies have to tackle: fuel economy and carbon emissions, and that's why they go to this technology. But other brands have just added more regular gears.
Sure.
Like now, look at Ford; they've got 10-speed automatic now, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the way they're doing it.
And so then we're talking about carbon footprint and reducing it, then you're thinking hybrid or you're thinking electric, which is a lot more money.
But this is, I think, a better choice for a lot of people. Just buy a small, inexpensive, fuel-efficient car instead of spending a lot more money on a hybrid. I think for most people, and that's where that little Versa Note played, right? It was what I call cheap and cheerful, and no longer available. So the Kicks and the Sentra are roughly the same price, but the Kicks doesn't have independent rear suspension, isn't available with disc brakes, has a smaller infotainment screen and some other features as well. Plus this has now been out for a few years, but I think it's still going to outsell Sentra because people want what people want, and they seem to want utilities.
Well, and that very well may be possible. I get the appeal of this. You're sitting up a bit higher. Maybe visibility is a little bit better, but I still love sedans. It's a sportier option.
We'll see. I still think the Kicks is going to outsell.
Well, we'll see. Hey, the data will be out and we can fight it out.
Car Cost Canada provides the dealer's cost, a list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH to become an expert member and get access to exclusive and powerful savings. The link is in the description below.